Hello my dear class 9 students. Today we will discuss about the chapter 8, that is the earthquakes. Hope you all are well. In the previous chapter we have already discussed about the volcanoes. In this chapter we will learn about what is an earthquake, how it is formed, what are the different impacts of an earthquake, even with that the anatomy of an earthquake and so on. Okay, let's start this chapter. Earthquake is a very devastating natural hazard that we will study. At first, we should have to know what is an earthquake. An earthquake is defined as a tremor below the surface of the earth which causes the shaking of the crust. These devastating tremors are caused by stresses that break the earth's crust, or you can say the lithosphere. This is the definition, you can say. So what does it mean? Earthquake is defined as the tremor, or you can say this is the vibration that are mainly formed below the surface of the earth. So if you have, this is the surface of the earth, below here this is the tremor or the vibration is originated which causes the shaking of the crust, and this is the lithosphere or the earth's crust that will be shaken up. That is why some energy will release. The devastating tremors are caused by stresses that break the earth's crust, and the energy is released. That is why the earthquake is occurred. So what are the causes of earthquake? There are several causes that make an earthquake, like some are natural causes and some are anthropological, or you can say the man-made causes. So natural causes are of so many types. You have volcanoes, plate tectonics, and the faulting and faulting. We will discuss it later. And the man-made causes, or you can say the anthropological causes, that are mining activities or quarrying activities that are going on by the anthropological activities, like human beings, by the human beings. Even with that, construction of the huge dams, nuclear explosion, these are some activities by the human beings that indirectly or directly can cause earthquake also. Like you can have some example, like in Maharashtra there is a huge earthquake in the Koyna earthquake. Okay, that was mainly caused by the construction of the Koyna dam in a very seismically active region. So the Koyna region is already lied in a seismically active region, and that is why the huge dam was constructed, and the result was that the Koyna earthquake. So these are the man-made causes. And what are the natural causes? Are these three. We will discuss it. So the volcanoes and plate tectonics and the folding and the faulting. In the previous class of volcanoes, I have already discussed how they are formed and how they are actually coincided with the plate margins. At first you have to know what are the plate margins. Plate margins are where I have already discussed about that. Still I am explaining. If this is plate 1 and this is plate 2, these plates always are moving. In the world we have 7 major plates and more or less 20 minor plates, or you can say the small plates. So they are not stagnant, they are not static, always they are moving. Sometimes they are moving towards each other, is called the convergent plate margin. This margin is called the convergent. When these two plates are just moves apart from each other, these plate margins will be called as the divergent plate boundary. Divergent, why? Because they are just diverge from each other, and sometimes they will not collide either, or they will not diverge, just passes through. This one is this direction and this one is this direction. This is called as the fault zone or the neutral fault boundary. These three types of plate movements are there. Now all the types of plate margins in the world. Students, have some look. I am now going to explain how they are formed, and all the plate margins that are also associated with the volcanic activity also. Why? Because I have already discussed When one plate, or you can say the heavier plate or the oceanic plate is heavier than the continental plate. So this is a continental plate, and this is, suppose this is the Pacific plate, and this one is the Eurasian plate. So the heavier oceanic plate or the Pacific plate, when subducted beneath the Eurasian plate, then some stresses is formed. That is why this zone is associated with the trench zone. Like Aleutian Trench is there, Kurile Trench is there, Mariana Trench is there, Philippines Plate is also there. So all these regions are very active zone. They are also associated with the volcanic activity, even with the earthquake prone zone. That is why you can say volcanic activities and the seismic occurrences are interrelated. This line you should have to remember, that the volcanic activity and the seismic activities, they are, seismic occurrences means the earthquake. Okay, seismic or the seismicity, the study of earthquake is called the seismology. Why? Because the scientists are studied in seismology or associated with the seismic activity. That is why they are called as the seismologist or the seismologist. So volcano, what happens? Hot gases are pushed upward and the push violently the earth's crust surface upward, causing the earthquakes. So in the volcanic activity, you have already read that various magma are coming out. Even with that, various gases, hot gases are also pushed and the pressure is created. That is why the earth's crust, that causing the energy release, some energy is released. That is why the earthquake happens. Even with that, we have another reason, like the plate tectonics. When two plates move and slide over each other or collide against each other, their edges produce faults along the lines of weakness. So the edges, or you can say where two plates meet, or the edges like where two plates are moved apart, some faults along the lines of weakness is created when they collide against each other or slide over each other. That is why earthquake is also occurred. And last one is the folding and faulting. What does it means? Folding means if there is some sedimentary rocks and some compress is there, like some pressure is there, that is why they will be folded. And what is faulting? If there is some strain or the tensional forces is there, tension is there, so the compressional forces can cause the folding. At the tension is there, that is why this is a block and another block at first this position, then they are faulted to this position, is called the faulting, formed as the tensional forces. Or you can say the displacement of the rocks, that can also causes some earthquakes. So we have already discussed these are some natural causes that can cause the earthquake, like the volcanoes, plate tectonics, and the folding and the faulting of the earth's crust or the rocks. And always remember this picture, how volcanoes and the earthquake prone zones are associated with each other and they also merge with the world's plate margins. This is the various plate margins where various subduction zone is also there. Like you have various active volcanoes like Ojos del Salado in the Andes, Mount St. Helena in the North America, even Mount Fujiyama in Japan, all are the active volcanoes that are associated with the convergent plate margin, where the Pacific plates are just subducted beneath the continental plate, like here beneath the North American plate and here beneath the Eurasian plate. So this is the picture. We have already discussed the causes of earthquake. Here have some look, students. This is the map of India and the most earthquake prone zones are the Himalayas associated with that, where the Indo-Australian plate and Eurasian plate are collided to each other. In this case, both of these two plates are continental. Like this is the Indo-Australian plate, this much portion, and this part is the Eurasian plate. So they collide in this region. That is why this region is so much of earthquake prone. In India's context, this is the earthquake prone zone of India. The dark portion, have some look students, the dark portion that shows this much portion is the very high risk zone, like the Gujarat, because we have already in 2001 we have the Bhuj earthquake in Gujarat, and a very high amount of energy was released. That was a severe earthquake due to the lowering of the Indian plate below the Asiatic plate. This is the reason of the earthquake as the plate tectonics. Now we will discuss about the anatomy of an earthquake. We will discuss about the different waves that are released in the time of earthquake. At first, if we want to know the anatomy, or if we want to know different types of waves that are released, at first we should have to know how many types of waves that are released in the time of earthquake. Mainly there are two types. One is called as the body waves and another one is called as the surface waves. So what does it mean? Body waves and surface waves. Okay, have some look. If you have, I'm showing here, this is the earth surface and this is the focus of an earthquake where it is generated. After that the energy is released and the waves that are coming towards the surface of the earth is called the body waves. These are called as the body waves. And what are the surface waves? After that then they are moved through the surface, so it is called as the surface waves. Now body waves are also of two types. One is the primary waves, or you can say the P waves, and the second one is the secondary waves, also called as the S waves. We will discuss about the different characteristics that each of these waves has. At first, the primary waves, they are also called as the compressional waves or the push-pull waves. They propagate parallel to the direction in which the wave is moving. They move through solids, liquids, both. So these are the characteristics of the P waves. Here have some look. This is the picture of the P waves. Like they are the compressional waves and they moves in the parallel. Each of the, you can say, the particles that are moved parallel to the direction of the waves. You can say this is a longitudinal waves. Move through solids and liquids both. So P waves can move through solids, even with that they also can move through the liquids. This is the fastest waves that are mainly reached in the earth's surface, and these have the highest velocity, the P waves. These are the characteristics of P waves. This picture I will show you later what are the earthquakes waves. After we will discuss about the different types of waves. So we have already covered the P waves. Next, the body waves are what is, students? This is the S wave, or you can say the secondary wave. This is also a type of body waves. Secondary waves or S waves, they are also called as the shear waves. Propagate the movement perpendicular to the direction in which the wave is moving. Particles vibrate at the right angles to the wave. What does it mean? Because this is the particles and the movement is just, watch this movement, like at the right angles, all the particles that are move in the right angles. Okay. And the most important thing is S waves cannot transmit through the liquids. They only can get transmit through the solids. But when they get some contact into some liquids, S waves cannot go or cannot propagate through that. These are also called as the shear waves. So what are the basic difference between the P wave or S waves? Because the basic difference is P wave was the fastest, but compared to the P wave, S wave is slower than the P wave. Okay. Number 2, P wave can transmit through solids and the liquid both, but S waves cannot transmit through the liquids, only can transmit through the solid. And this is a perpendicular, or you can say this is a transverse wave, and the P wave is the longitudinal wave. So these are the basic difference you should have to remember, student, between the P wave, or you can say the primary wave, and the secondary waves. This is the long wave or a type of surface wave. We will discuss it later. At first, move to this picture. What does it says? This is the picture of the interior of the earth. Like if you have, this is the mantle, this one is the outer core, and this one is the solid core, or you can say the inner core. I think you have already read about the Earth's interior chapter, and there you have some idea about the crust, mantle and core, right? So I am choosing this color, like I am choosing pink for the P wave. So P waves are coming like in this form, P waves are coming. Okay. After that, they can also propagate through this much portion, because outer core is the liquid. Okay. Still the P wave can transmit through the liquid, solid both. That is why they can propagate through the outer core. But we will choose green, blue for the S waves. These are the S waves. But here, after coming here, they cannot propagate through the outer core, because outer core is liquid. That is why they just stops. This position or this portion cannot get any kind of waves, either P waves or S waves. That is why they are called as the earthquake shadow zone. This is the basic difference between the P waves and S waves. Now we will discuss about the surface waves. This is the complex motion up and down and side to side. This is the slowest wave, because after coming to the surface, P waves and S waves, then they originated in the form of longitudinal wave, long wave. They are of two types. One is the Rayleigh wave and another one is the Love wave. Okay. And this is the surface wave, but the most important thing is most damage to structures and building, because this is the most devastating one. Why this is devastating? Because these also affects and these also flows in the surface. That is why the surface areas devastation are the major thing, or are the most in these kinds of wave. So we have already completed the anatomy of an earthquake. Now we will move on to some definitions. What are focus? What are epicenters? What are seismic waves? Like what is earthquake, we have already discussed. Now what are the seismic waves, or you can say the seismic waves? Energy that moving toward or moving outward from the focus of an earthquake is called the seismic waves. So what are the focus of the earthquakes? At first we should have to know, because the energy that are released from the focus of the earthquake is called the waves. Waves are actually in the form of waves, but actually what they are the energy that are released from an earthquake. So the location of initial sleeve of the fault where the earthquake origins is called the focus. Like see this picture, what is center and what is the epicenter of an earthquake. Like the place or the position, in this position where the earthquake primarily originates, this is called as the focus. Focus, or this is also called as the hypocenter. These two names are same. You can say the hypocenter. Okay. And this position in the surface of the earth just above the earthquake focus or the center, this position is called the epicenter. So what is epicenter And what is hypocenter? Spot on Earth's surface directly above the focus is called the epicenter, and focus is that location where the initial slip on the fault where the earthquake actually originates, and focus is also named or also called as the hypocenter. So what are focus and what are epicenter? Like this is focus and this is the epicenter. After epicenter, the waves are just flow through this direction. These are some definitions you should have to remember, students. Now here lies, if an earthquake is occurred, then how can we measure? How can we measure the earthquakes? So there are two types of scale, like one is the Richter scale and another one is the Mercalli scale, or you can say the Mercalli scale. What does a Richter scale do? Richter scale measures the power of an earthquake by measuring the energy that are released from an earthquake. So what does a Richter scale just do is it measures the energy released from an earthquake, and the scale is 1 to 10. So Richter scale has from 1, then it will have up to 10 according to their how much energy is released. We will discuss in the right hand picture. This is the Richter scale, how the energy released is measured. I will discuss it later. So Richter scale is a logarithmic scale, and that is invented by the Charles Richter, and the instruments where it is measured is called the seismogram. So in Richter scale, what is actually measured? The total energy released by an earthquake. So they have from 1 to 10 scale, like up to 1 to 4 only small earthquake is there. Like in every minutes, every single seconds, there is also various kinds of earthquakes that are occurred or in the throughout the world, but we cannot sense them, right now. You cannot feel, but there is some earthquake. But when we can feel is when the earthquake scale, or sorry, when the Richter scale will reach up to 6 or more than that. So the 5, 6 are of moderate type, up to this is small, and after that we have 7. If it will reaches to 7, then there have some major earthquake. 8, 9, that signifies the great earthquake. 10 is super, but still you can say till now it is not actually occurring, because every 1000 years there can be some possibilities to occur. And this is the scale. In every minute, in every hour it can be happened. It can be happened after 10 to 30 years. So this is the scale. Have some look, students. You can have some screenshot from that. It will help you. And as it is logarithmic, what does it mean? So if we have the Richter scale value is only 5, like you have the 5 and 6, what does it mean? The 6 is 10 times larger, or the 10 times more intense than the earthquake that has the value Richter scale value of only 5. So this is the measurement of the earthquake. And another scale, that is the Mercalli scale, that also measures the intensity of the earthquake, but not by the measuring of the energy releasing. They also measures the devastation, or you can say the effects, observed effects. And what are the major differences between the Richter scale and Mercalli scale? If you have some question, like they have 1 to 10 value, and in Mercalli scale they have 1 to 12 value. They are measuring energy release from an earthquake. They are measuring the devastation that are occurred, invented by Richter, and that was invented by Mercalli. So these are the basic difference, students, you have to remember. Now this is the picture of the seismograph, where the energy release from an earthquake is just measured. This is a picture. Now we will discuss about the effects of an earthquake. We have already discussed different causes, different things like the anatomy of an earthquake and so on. Now here lies what are the different effects of an earthquake that we face. So there are some constructive effects. Even with that, some destructive effects are also there. Though the constructive effects of an earthquake is very negligible, you can say it is very funny to hear that, but still they have some constructive effects, like some energy is released. That is why energy is released, like they help earth release some energy and it's stored up energy. The majority of the earthquake occur around the plate margins. I have already discussed. This energy released helps to keep the earth in good shape because the convection current in the mantle is there. That is why the plates are moving. Sometimes they are subducted, the heavier plates are subducted beneath the lighter one, and all the circle is just going on. So this can be formed in good shape. But the destructive effect of an earthquake are so many. Like these are some destructive effects of an earthquake. At first we have the collapse of the structure. So if there is an earthquake happens, what the first thing we have the idea, or what is the first thing that we just think about? Major destruction or the huge destruction is there, because the buildings are collapsed, all the construction are damaged. So all these kinds of devastation is there. So you can say danger to human life, danger to lives and properties, all this. So major or the vast destruction is there. And the various effects that are formed is the submergence. The forces of uplift and subsidence also cause submergence of coastal parts. For example, you have the Dwarka in Gujarat, which now lies in the submerged under the sea. Previously that was not situated in that place, but after occurring of an earthquake, the Dwarka in Gujarat lies in the submerged under the sea. Okay, so the submergence is there. Next we have the course of river. What does it means? After occurring of an earthquake, there is some possibilities to change in the river course, like in our Brahmaputra river in the Assam valley, or there was some Assam in that place there was some devastating earthquake, and after that the course of the Brahmaputra river was totally changed. So this is an example. Earthquakes have changed the course of rivers in the past. They have thus rendered many areas unsuitable for irrigation and agriculture. And the danger to human life, that is also there. Now is the landslide. Landslide can be caused by an earthquake. If some tremor is there, some vibration is there, that is why this will be a shear zone, or you can say the active zone. That is why landslide can be occurred. They damage the buildings, disrupts the transport system. The earthquakes in the Himalayas, Alps and Andes also cause landslide, because in the Himalayas region they are very active, seismically active zone. In the map of the India, I have already said the Himalayan, where the Eurasian plate and the Indian plates are just collided, that are the seismically active zone. So that will cause some landslide, because all are associated with the newer folded mountain. That is why they are also in the active zone, and the earthquake can cause some landslide. Even with that, they can also create some fires. During an earthquake, fire breaks out due to inflammable materials thrown out, broken gas pipes and bursting of gas cylinders also. The most devastating too is the tsunami and flash floods. So this is the picture of a tsunami. What does tsunami means? Tsunamis are the harbor waves. Okay. So su and nami. Su means the harbor and the nami means the waves. And the Japan and the coastal regions are very much associated with the tsunami, the very large devastating waves. And if there is an earthquake undersea, like the undersea, if there is any earthquakes that is occurred, due to that the large or the vast waves are generated, cause the tsunamis that are just very devastating. And the flash floods is also there. Strong shock waves damage dams and embankments, and the water stored there spreads very rapidly, causing flash floods. So these are the various destructive effects that are mainly effects of an earthquakes. Okay, we have already discussed various destructive waves, and this picture is just created. This is a landslide caused by an earthquake. This is the tsunami. Now, what are the major earthquake prone zone in the world? There are so many earthquake prone zones that are associated with the plate margins. I have already discussed the three major earthquake belt or the earthquake prone zone are the Circum-Pacific Mountain Belt, the Mid-World Mountain Belt, and the last one is the Mid-Atlantic Ridges. So this is the zone 1, you can say. This area in the Pacific or this much area, this is the number 2, like the Himalayas is there, Alps is there, all the newer folded mountain, and here also associated with the subduction zone. In the newer folded mountain, Rocky is there, Andes is there, all the earthquakes prone zone. Here is also San Andreas fault is there. This is the major earthquake prone zone in the world. We have already discussed. So these are the at a glance. An earthquake is a sudden shaking or trembling of the earth. Earthquake is caused by a disturbance deep inside the earth's crust. Earthquakes tend to occur at the boundaries of earth's plate. These boundaries are known as the fault zones. It is not possible to predict the occurrence of an earthquake. Though there are some possibilities, like you have no method is still foolproof, but still some measuring, like the earth's magnetic field changing in the level sea level and the variation in the earth's magnetic field, these are some possibilities. Even with that, some things that the animals behavior is also there, but still there is no foolproof anything that is the predictable. No, the earthquake occurrence of an earthquake is not predictable one. We have already covered different features of the earthquake. Okay students, we will end this session. Thank you.